Dr. Lena Patel had been a physical therapist for over 15 years, and in that time, she'd seen hundreds of patients walk in, some limping, some in wheelchairs, many clutching canes with trembling fingers and downcast eyes. She was used to slow progress, plateaus, setbacks. That's what rehab was: slow, steady, sometimes frustrating. But one patient changed the way she thought about walking forever. His name was Mr. Ronald Green. 74 years old, a retired school principal with a deep voice, sharp wit, and legs that just wouldn't cooperate anymore. I used to march across the school hallways like a general, he told her on his first day, sitting in the rehab chair, his legs stiff and swollen. Now I feel like I'm wading through mud. Mr. Green had suffered a mild stroke a year prior. The doctor said he'd made a good recovery, but his gait told a different story. Each step was labored, uneven. He dragged his left foot slightly, like it didn't belong to him anymore. He leaned too far to the right. His balance was shaky. Worse, he was afraid of falling, afraid of walking without support, afraid, in his own words, of being reduced. Dr. Patel started with the usual approach: leg strengthening, seated marches, resistance bands, gentle treadmill sessions. But after 3 weeks, the improvements were minimal. Maybe this is just what walking looks like for me now. Mr. Tack Green said one day, his voice low, "I'm tired, Doc. I'm doing what you ask, but I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere." That night, Lena stayed late at the clinic, reviewing his file, replaying videos of his gait, searching for something she missed. She wasn't ready to accept this was the best he could do. In the middle of her notes, she remembered something her mentor once told her during residency. When walking becomes mental, don't treat it physical. Treat it like rhythm. Rhythm. She stood up from her desk, walked to the therapy room, and pulled out a metronome from the storage shelf, one that was mostly used for pediatric coordination games. The next morning, Mr. Green came in looking tired. She met him at the therapy mat with a small smile and a device in hand. "What's that?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "A metronome," she said. "Humor me." She set the device to 60 beats per minute. A soft, steady click filled the room. She helped him to his feet and stood beside him. "I want you to walk to the beat. Just that. One step per click." He frowned, clearly skeptical, but nodded. She counted him in. Left. Click. Right. Click. 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 Right. Click. At first, his steps were hesitant. Then, slowly, they began to match the rhythm. For the first time in weeks, he didn't drag his foot. His balance improved, not because his muscles were suddenly stronger, but because his brain had found a pattern to follow. By the end of the hallway, Mr. Green stopped and looked at her. That felt different. "Because it is," she said. "You stopped thinking about walking. You started feeling it." They repeated it 3 times that session. Each time, he walked more confidently. By the fourth walk, she noticed something else. His posture improved. He wasn't leaning right. He was aligned. The next session, they added music. Slow jazz at first, then a classic march. He walked to the beat like he was leading a school band. For the first time in therapy, he smiled the whole way down the hallway. Within 2 weeks, he was walking without the cane. Dr. Patel had seen gains before, but this was something else entirely. It wasn't just physical. It was neurological. Musical rhythm, she realized, gave his brain a structure, a cue. It bypassed fear, rewrote hesitation, and gave his legs a reason to trust themselves again. Soon, she began using rhythmic walking with other patients. Some used metronomes, others walked to their favorite songs. One woman, a retired ballet dancer, walked best to Chopin. A teenage athlete recovering from spinal surgery found his stride to old-school hip-hop. A man with Parkinson's improved his freezing episodes when walking to a drum track. She named it rhythm gait therapy. It wasn't brand new science. She later found research supporting the concept of rhythmic auditory stimulation, RAS. But what mattered was how simple and powerful it was in real life. One afternoon, 6 weeks after their first metronome session, Mr. Green walked into the clinic on his own, without a cane, wearing a hat and holding a Bluetooth speaker. "I brought my own music today," he said with a grin. "Marching band, of course." He strutted down the hallway, each step in perfect time. Lena watched, heart swelling. He wasn't just walking, he was commanding space again. The former principal was back. Later, as she walked him out, he paused at the door. "You know what the biggest change was?" he said. "What's that?" "I stopped walking like I was broken. I started walking like I was dancing." That night, Lena updated her patient handbook. Under gait recovery protocols, she added a new line in bold. The only exercise that changed everything. Walk to a beat. And she kept the metronome on her desk, ready for the next patient who said they'd forgotten how to walk. Because now she knew exactly where to begin.